was on the first thing on the agenda was the non-union or the non-unit contracts. Jeff, can you go ahead with that?
Oh, you gotta turn your volume off. Hang on a sec. Got it. All right.
Hey, Kelly.
So we have we met with our three folks, and we have a fourth that we're going to need to meet with. First one up would be Buildings and Grounds, Mike Hogue. You can see on the screen if you're looking at it.
Excuse me, Jeff. Should we be doing roll call first on this, or no? We need to.
You can if you want.
I see Kelly's put up. Kelly, can you do roll call for the meeting?
Yes. Director Addy?
Here.
Director Sorkin? Yes, here. Director Gentilini? Is he absent? Jeff, can you confirm?
He is not in this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Director Yuhan?
I'm here.
Director Schoberg?
Here.
Director Ladiger?
Here.
And Director Sanders present. And I apologize for my minute being late. I was clicking on everything but the correct invite. So, thank you.
And I apologize for not doing roll call off the right out of the chute. But yeah, we'll continue on. Go ahead, Jeff.
And I apologize for starting before you did. Anyone else want to apologize? All right. It's a nice day out. So anyway, starting with Mike Hope, you can see that his current insurance, he's asking for a 15% increase in insurance. Board share, HSA wants to go from 1,000 to 1,500. His salary, he's currently at 65,000, and he's asking to go to 74,000, which is a 13% increase. Payroll, which is Janelle, she's asking for 4 and 3, and then an additional 500 on the HSA. And the executive assistant's Deb, which her job might change on July 1st, and you might want to consider that before we go too far here.
Janelle asked for an increase in vacation as well.
Oh, did she?
She sent a separate email.
Oh. My notes are from when we met with her.
So, yeah, so her vacation days would be 10 additional days.
She wants 10 additional days?
Well, it'd be a total of 10.
Well, she has
More days.
she has 15 now, so she's asking for 20.
25.
25.
She wants 25.
That's what I asked for.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you've got that, wait a minute, you've got that wrong, isn't it? Deb wants 25. And Janelle wants an extra 5. Janelle wants 20, Deb wants 25. Right?
How's that?
The email says that Janelle wants an extra 5 days.
And
That is on 5 days.
Yeah.
And Deb wanted extra 10 days to
Janelle never asked for any extra days of vacation, I do believe, in the beginning.
yes, she
She
did.
sent an email.
Here,
I know, but
how's that look?
Not in the email.
She sent an email after the fact saying that she would like to request 5 additional days. She originally was okay with it, but then sent an email stating she is requesting 5 extra days for vacation to be used during the summer months only. She stated she didn't need it, but there was an employee that asked for an extra 10, so she's asking for 5.
Correct.
I just want to make sure we had it right.
All right, where do you want to go?
Start with Mike, he's on the top of the list. now.
Okay.
I guess I would just say, is this typical how this goes? I assume it is, where everyone asks for something different and then you deal with each individually.
In this particular case with this, with the non-unit negotiations, yes, they're all individual contracts.
Well, I know in that meeting, Mike was saying his rationale for the insurance increase was to come up to the, closer to the AFSCME, family medical. And it looks like all three of these now have the same current, single and family, except, Janelle doesn't take any medical. So Mike had asked to get closer to what AFSCME gets, what I remember.
Correct.
What was his, and looking at that salary, I mean, so is they close to what AFSCME is at too?
The salary part, he said he wanted to get closer to, what Virginia guy makes. And so,
And do you know what that figure is? I don't know what that figure is.
74,000.
yeah,
Okay. And then that is transportation and buildings and grounds and maintenance together, right? No, just, fine, it's just transportation.
Yes.
And Mike does both on our end.
Mm-hmm.
And with the new plan, Mike would be doing building and grounds for the consolidated district, and Mr. Voss would be doing transportation for the consolidated district, correct?
Yes.
No, I believe Jeff would be doing buildings and grounds, and Mike would be doing maintenance personnel, what I understand.
yep,
Yeah.
Polly's correct.
So quick question that I have, when was their contract up?
June 30th,
Year ago,
2019.
Okay.
about a year ago.
Okay. Will we need to renegotiate these contracts with the new district, or do you know, Jeff, how?
No, they all stay in place until they expire, all of the contracts. Once they expire, then they have to go to the new district.
Okay.
Which gives us, in my view, even more urgency to make sure we get it done.
Yeah. So the HSA, is that close to where the AFSCME is at too?
Let me do a little research here quick. I'll get back to you on that one. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm off the top of my head, I'm thinking that ASME doesn't do the HSA, they do a 403B.
Yeah, I didn't remember seeing that HSA before either, but I don't memorize these contracts, so. And that HSA is what our contribution would be
Yes.
into the account. Yeah, some places don't put any money into the account. They do a one-time shock and that's it.
All right, Kelly, here's your answer to your question. They don't do the HSA, they have a district contribution to a 403B account. In years 0 through 2, there's 0. 3 through 5, the district matches 725. 6 through 10, 800. 11 through 15, 850. 16 through 20, 950, and 21 years and above, $1,050.
Okay, thank you.
Teachers also have a 403B, don't they?
Correct. It is similar. I can tell you in a second here.
And principals too?
I'll tell you in a second. maybe.
I mean, so I'll just start off the conversation while Jeff is looking at that. Like, it's tough to, knowing that we're coming into a new consolidated district in just over a month. It's tough to have there be such a significant separation. However, I also am concerned where it's not completely our time right now to write that either. But I would be in support of looking at getting it close.
I would support the increase in family insurance and the HSA, but the salary, I know we really don't want to. I'm thinking 70,000. For a salary.
And how do you come up with that figure?
Well, I'm just, how long has Mike been there, and how long has Bob Voss been in that position?
Bob has been there for 5 or 6 or 7 years in that range. Mike's in his 4th year. Whoever asked the question about the teachers, I'm just going to read off some numbers. It's 3rd through 5th year, 6th through 10th, same kind of deal, but it's 1125, 1232, 1286, 1393, and the last one for 21 years and over is 1500.
I think 70,000 would get him closer to what what they're making over there, and this is for last year, so he'd get back pay, correct?
That is for last year, yep. He didn't ask for anything in year 2.
So the negotiations, well, that's true too, but it's for last year and for next school year. That's what this contract is for.
This is for this year that we just finished and
Yep.
next year.
I think you're not correct there, Jeff. It's for the past 2 years, right?
Nope.
No, it expired in 2019.
Yep.
17, 18, and 18, 19.
No, it's this year that we just finished. That's what, and then next year.
It's 1920.
Okay, but yeah, that's what they have now. You're right. You're correct. I stand corrected. I have numbers here of what their current contract is.
So 70,000 brings it. That would be just under a 4% raise if he got that for each year. 70,000. So a 4% raise would actually move him over to 72.
What's that again, Kelly? Because I'm 1% of 65,000 is 650.
Yep. So 4% is 2,600.
Yes.
Did that each year. So I guess I'm not necessarily. I would recommend a year 1 and a year 2 raise first off too on Mike's contract.
And I mean, and I hear what you're saying there, and the 4 and 4 would get them closer. And do we know with Mr. Voss's the 74,000 where he will be at for the next school year, or will there be an increase to that?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm assuming there would be of some sort. You
I
could,
mean, where I'm coming from, if we give them 4 and 4, that brings them up to just over 7, that'd be 70,300 or whatever, which gets them closer, but then if Mr. Voss is getting 3% on that, then you aren't gaining much ground is I guess what I'm thinking. Not that we need to match it.
My one thing too, I think we have to keep in mind is we're not comparing apples to apples right now. We don't have his contract in front, for Mr. Voss. We don't have that contract in front of us. We don't know what the health care is like. We don't know what vacation benefits are like versus, you know what I mean? We know that these are negotiated individually, for every couple of years or however long the contract is. So I don't want to get too hung up on I get that's where the amount was received, but the HSA amount too, the top end was received from the highest end of from the teacher's contract versus the AFSCME contract, and the insurance is trying to get it closer to the AFSCME. So I think it's kind of bits and pieces of all these different contracts being looked at, but I don't want to get too hung up on Mr. Voss being at 74,000 and Mike, us needing to match it or get really close to it because there may be a reason. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what that is. So.
I don't disagree with that. That's just kind of where the discussion seemed to be going.
Yep.
And Jeff, on that contract, it expires on June 30th. So, at June 30th, you would have to pay him. Say, if we accepted this, you would have to pay him the $9,000 back pay, correct? Plus interest.
That would be what I see. What he's proposing. I don't. Do we pay interest on back pay?
no,
What? No.
no.
I was just checking.
We always pay the back pay, though.
Right, back pay, but not interest.
No.
Oh, I was just checking.
We've never paid the interest, no.
But that's where I would recommend a year 1 and year 2 increase versus just a blanket increase for the last year's work.
So Kelly, are you saying 4% each year for 2 years?
That's what I would say.
Okay, so that would bring him up to 67,600 for year 1 and 70,280 for year 2.
70,304 is what I got. But
70,000 and some change anyway.
Yeah,
But then again, if we're comparing the jobs and not the people, they're about the same about longevity. Remember, though, that Mike is maintenance and transportation, and Mr. Voss just has transportation, so there's a difference there.
yeah.
And we can take those other things separately, but we're talking about salary only now. Medical and those things are paid for you, and sick days are just things in a bank that you possibly can get when you retire, and those other things are not cash in hand things. So if we wanted to compare them separately, we could, but we're talking about the salary part now. Teachers.
What are you thinking, Holly?
Well, I don't really know. The teachers got 4 and 3 and 4 and 3 on benefits, salary and benefits. So did the principals. Well, the principals took 2% salary and 4%, 3% benefits. AFSCME took 3% and 2% in salary. And I see nothing wrong in going up to the 74,000 myself, because Matt said Mr. Voss's position is probably going to get bumped up from there too.
I mean, if whatever we do, I agree with Kelly that whatever we choose, it should be step, if you will, year 1, year 2, as far as that goes.
Don or Bill, any thoughts?
I agree with the percentage of the step increase. I believe in the step increase. It just kind of keeps everything on a level playing field and asking for it all in one big swoop, Not that he's asking for it all, he just wants to get there sooner than we would probably as a board would like, by consensus, kind of sounds like, then we would like to, we'd like to, how do I put this? That, yeah, getting there in steps is better than giving it to him in one swoop. That's how I feel. And that's what it seemed like the board just wanted to do. Those are my thoughts. Any other board members have any comments on that?
Well, I agree too about the steps and doing a year 1 and a year 2 as well. That seems to be the consistent thing. So I agree with that portion. What the dollar amount is or what the interest is. I threw out 70,000 as a starting point, but maybe we just do a percentage starting from the 65,000. He has done more, doing transportation and maintenance.
Well, at 5%, it would be 60-25 at 5% on the 65.
Right.
Okay.
And then about 71,662.
What's that?
And then for another 5, it would bring them up to 71,662.
What's
Yes.
the one?
It's just a little bit over the 70,000 that Randy's talking about.
Which would be more than that. It's another 30. What did I say it was, Pauline?
68,250 for the first 5%.
68, 50 would be 71,400.
71,662, like Polly said, the 5% is compound.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, do you happen to recall what the percentage salary increase was for the last contract of the buildings and grounds?
I believe. Give me a couple minutes, I'll figure it out.
Okay, and I'll let you guys, I'm open on my wondering about it.
It wasn't.
Is because, just as Cal has said about, it being, including the transportation as well as the buildings and grounds. It's a lot on the plate or whatever. The 65,000 strikes me on the lower side of that. So I'm just wondering where, and I cannot recall 2 years ago at all of the discussion or where we were at, or obviously it was lower than that even, but I'm just wondering what that percent increase was. And it's not necessarily, it's neither here nor there. It is what it is. The 65 just seems a little low, thinking of the scope.
Well, we have talked about that being, him being paid less than others. Jeff has mentioned that before.
It was 63,654 was his last salary before this contract.
If you go about 7% each year, it brings them up to just a little bit over 75,000 after the second year. The first 7% would be 70,250. The next 7% would be 75,168.
And alternatively, if you do 6 and 6, it'd be just over 73,000 after the second year.
Can I just?
Yep.
Do you want my 2 cents?
Yep.
You're not comparing apples to apples here, because it's a different job, almost entirely. And Bob Voss has a secretary too. I mean, it's, I don't know. I guess if you're looking for some advice from me, which you can or can't, you take it for what it is. I don't know that I would worry about catching anybody up to anything right now. I mean, you're dealing with last year, which is done already. And then you're dealing with one more year, and then you have to negotiate a combined contract sometime, or a Rockridge School District contract sometime during this year, and that would be the time to fix problems.
Well, if you gave them 7% the first year and 6% the second year, it comes to 74,000, just under 74.5, and that would be just what he's asking for. It would be what Bob Moss is getting now, and he's got 2 duties instead of 1.
But next year he won't. His workload is being incredibly modified.
Well, that'll be under a consolidated contract. We're catching him up, aren't we?
No, it would be, I mean, it's, the contract we're talking about now would go through next year.
Yes.
Right, we're catching him up for 1 year. And it'll go 1 year into the consolidated.
I guess I still have a concern of it's not, I don't feel like catching him up to someone who I don't really know their contract and how, I mean, it's not, we're not comparing to like contracts, so I don't want to get hung up on, I mean, this is what was thrown out as the initial starting off point. Feel the need to have to go up to 74 right now. I just don't, and we still have other contracts that we have to review, and we still have to be fiscally sound on, what we're doing and the rationale. Like the next year, the next contract, clearly there will be a better comparison to see exactly where we're at and exactly the differences in duties and responsibilities and changes for everyone. That I think then it's a much easier conversation to have. But I guess I'm not getting a salary based on with the argument being to try to bring him up to another person.
I guess I agree with that, Kelly, and I'm do think that where he's at now certainly warrants some additional consideration, and given where things are at now, and that will hopefully get caught up in a year, because we're already a year into a 2-year contract. I think if we did something like 5 and 5 to get Mike up to 71, just over 71.6, that would be I think that would be fair, more than fair.
I'd be good with that.
I like the sound of that too. That's kind of where my mind was going at 5 and 5.
Along with the increases in insurance and the HSA that he's asking for.
Did you say 5 and 5, Matt?
Yep. Yes.
I'm with you. I think 5 and 5, and do the insurance that he's asking for, as well as the HSA. I agree with that.
Just to your question, Kelly, sometimes we talk total package percentage increase, and sometimes we break it down, most of the time, salary and total package. So I think you were more talking about comparing apples to apples and the total package amounts.
No, just salary, I do believe she was talking. Just salary increase of 5 and 5. Everything else would be the same.
No, I understand that, but I think she was alluding to we don't put all of the other benefits together, so we could have that discussion and negotiate that way too, but we don't know the total package of each. All I'm saying is it's very typical to break it down into salary percentage and total package percentage.
Yeah, but yes, that's exactly what I was looking at, the whole package. But I feel that that whether we break it down and looking at it individually for our discussion or negotiation piece, it is a package. Each contract is built around what someone receives for salary and what the benefits are that come into place along with the health care. So I don't feel like we can compare one piece of it without knowing the other areas of it. The contract's the contract.
If you're worried about things changing, we could do a 1-year contract too, couldn't we? If duties are going to be changing and that's part of some concerns.
But I think that why not do 5 and 5, which is a substantial and very good raise. I mean, I think many would be happy with that. It's starting to write the fact that 65 is on the lower scale and recognizing that. But then it's still, I mean, we're already 1 year into the contract with only 1 year remaining. You know, and by then we're going to have all of those other things kind of ironed out where then we can look at revising or looking at the new contract. So I don't necessarily think that changing the 1 year term or anything. I think a 2 year is fine at 5 and 5.
And I think it recognizes the value that he brings, and it gets him pretty close to where he's asking to get.
Yep.
Are you saying that the second year of the contract will be under a different job description than this one? That's where we're going, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's. Do we really know the value of it at this point in time? Do we really know the value of that position at this point in time, or is it automatically assumed that it would be equal to the job duties and his current job descriptions?
We don't know. I don't think it's very. I mean, you know, they may have some job descriptions, but until we actually have things finalized, people in positions, it can always change. But that's the reality that our entire district is under right now. So each and every one of these people that we're looking at their contracts, and same with the Virginia staff, are in the same situation. So it's not like this individual would be in a separate circumstance than others. Every job would be looked at and wouldn't change.
No, I totally agree, because under the current scenario, it's not official yet, but Deb will have a different job type too. And I don't know if Janelle would have the same job duties and a job title too after the second year of this contract. And that's, I guess, my point. Maybe they all should be 1 year, and then figure out the new job duties and the job titles year 2 under consolidated.
Jeff, can you shed any light on where the similar positions in Virginia are? Are they all at the same spot in their contract, or?
As far as your?
Yes.
Yes. They are.
So they are all finishing the first year of a 2-year contract over there.
Yep.
So I think we should do 2-year contracts, be consistent with that, and then everything will shake out at the end of the upcoming year.
End of the second year.
Yes.
Yeah, all right, it was just a thought and a rationale.
Can we, in the interest of time, to make sure that we can have some discussion on our second item, can we move into looking at the other positions, contracts?
But yeah, and also, I mean, I think there's again, in deference to time, you know, I would like to have some discussion on the whole activities director situation.
Okay, well, let's move on. I mean, if we're good with the payroll, we're good with the executive assistant. Does anybody have any questions about those? I mean, I think we're all good with it.
Well, have we talked? We haven't talked about those two yet.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering about, yeah, I guess I'm wondering about vacation time and, salary. It's interesting to, the 4 and 3 and 3 and 2, but then there's more vacation in the one than the other. And, I mean, I just, yeah, I think we have to.
Janelle's, just speaking for Janelle's, she had mentioned that she feels she's been doing double duty in the office still, and that's why her compensation for salary is more.
Still a lot of responsibility with the business manager having part-time.
Yeah.
Although, look at the load that Deb had about this election and everything. I mean, it goes off and on for her too. And I guess I was looking at the contract, and Jeff, maybe you can tell me, when she does board meetings, does she get time off for board meetings, or does she get extra time or overtime, or how does that work? I couldn't spell that out in that contract.
It's comp time.
It's comp time, okay.
Well, it's off the books comp time. I mean, if she stays here for 3 hours, she can come in 3 hours late the next day, that type of thing.
Yeah, I didn't see about it.
Does it have to be the next day or?
No, I'm just,
Time
I just
get
use that as
back?
I just use that as an example.
Okay.
She must have been pulling her hair out on this last election, especially the first time we've ever had absentee, and she did put in a lot of extra time.
She's sitting,
I don't know if
she's sitting right next to me and she's got more hair than I do.
well,
That's not saying much, Jeff.
so,
I'm just saying, but just look at the payroll and look at the executive assistant. What's your thoughts on the payroll? That's what she's asking for. What are the board members' thoughts?
Where's it?
I'd give them both 4 and 3. I would, for salary.
But this is what they were asking for.
Well,
I mean,
Right, and as far as particularly with, I mean, I have no issue with 4 and 3. I have no issue with an additional $500 to an HSA. I have no issue with maybe an extra week of vacation.
Well, and I think that's the difference, and that's where we look at the contracts, is each person's priority is different. So Deb could have very well put in 3 and 2, knowing that she's asking for an additional 2 weeks of vacation, because that might be her priority. Her priority is time off versus the pay, So I wouldn't necessarily say throwing her up to 4 and 3, because, that 10 additional days is a pretty substantial hike to vacation. I mean, that's 5 weeks of vacation, but that may be where she's really putting that priority over having a bigger bump in the pay too.
she'd probably go for 20, if she's there, Deb, 20 days instead of 25. Mike is asking for an extra $500 in his HSA. So is Janelle. It hasn't, but we could equalize it. Teachers there's 3 sets that got 4 and 3.
but Polly, this is what they came to us individually with. We didn't.
That's fine.
This is what they negotiated us with as individuals.
But I think, Bill, what Polly's saying is, in the negotiation, I mean, for when we go back, because just because they're throwing it out doesn't mean we say, yes, we're good with everything. I mean, sometimes maybe, but she's saying also, is there a conversation I have to offer 4 and 3 and keeping it at 20 vacation days? That may very well said, no, I don't want it. I want, because it depends. I mean, it's individual for each person on what the priority is. So yeah, I get it.
And Janelle doesn't take insurance. I mean, there's differences too, but I'm just trying to equalize it out. Much simpler. And it's not that much either. It's really not much.
2% is 1 extra week of vacation. It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm good with the payroll position. I do know that there has been just additional stuff that has had to go somewhere, and I'm good with the executive assistant one also. When I would be interested in having that conversation to look at the salary versus the vacation days, but I guess I get it. Having good vacation, I get it. That's important, especially after a pandemic and elections. Of time off would be greatly appreciated, I would think. So.
And as far as I just fill you in on some of how we handled it both ways in our district, before with the executive secretary, we used to pay extra time money, and then we went to comp time for extra pay for extra meetings and things. So it's not unheard of. We've done it both ways before. This might be a compromise. And I think if it's off the books in the next contract, I think it's prudent that we put it in there, the language, however we're going to handle it, those extra hours, comp time, or extra pay. I think it.
You do realize on July 1st she's not in a position where she's going to be coming to board meetings anymore, right?
Oh, well then, that would matter.
Well, that none of those decisions have been made, have they? I mean, the joint powers had a list of folks presented to them, but there was never any action taken.
That's right. I agree with you, Matt.
You are correct.
Those are recommendations.
So Deb is still the executive assistant as of July 1st until the combined board decides where to assign people.
I agree.
I do.
So with that being said, if we're treating it like that, then we should add in the language for the comp time.
I don't know why we need to mess with that right now. If it wasn't there, I say let's do it and move on, and the contract will be in place, and however the consolidated board decides to assign these duties, we'll do it.
So going forward for the negotiations committee, for Debbie's position, are we looking at 4 and 3 with less vacation days, and we're going to do the $50 phone request?
I am fine with 3 and 2 and more vacation days, though. I really do. I think.
I agree.
I think it's a equal preference, and if she prefers to take less salary to have more vacation, I think.
I mean, they came to us with this Deb came to us with this. We could agree to accept it and then just be done with it. Why are we saying we'll offer more percentage and take 5 days away? If she came to us, we say, okay, we'll accept it and be done with it. Payroll, accept it and be done with it.
Well, because
what Kelly is saying about, each person has different priorities, and
Correct.
I do agree with that. So
I mean, us as an agency, though, us as a school district, may also say, on the other hand, we have someone who's doing a lot of extra stuff going on because we only have a part-time business manager. We may say, you know what, we can't give an extra week of not having someone and having to find coverage. So we could very well say, like, no, we'd rather pay more and not have an extra week to have to cover if we are already feeling tight. I don't know if that's the case, and I don't certainly think it will be the case when we consolidate. So that's why I'm saying I'm okay with 25 days.
Okay, point well made.
I agree. I think we are all in agreement on these. Can we move on to the activities director?
are we in agreement with, so Debbie and Janelle, we are good with?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, the activities director, and I think we have a little bit of a situation here. As far as I do, while we are obviously consolidating, I feel it is extremely important that we, Evelyn Gilbert, have an activities director in place on July 1. I have heard, she has told me, that JoJo Scott has accepted another position, and while I don't, my understanding, and I think we need to do what we can try and do, to me, that is one of the absolute most important positions, period, moving forward here. And I don't know of anyone else, frankly, within this district who could do the kind of job that she's doing. And I do think, I don't know how this recommendation came from, and Jeff, maybe you can shed a little light on it, to offer the consolidated or AD position to Josh Lampa. When, we talk about comparing apples to apples, and Josh is a friend of mine. I think Josh does a good job, but he has 2 assistants. He isn't expected to be at all the events like JoJo is, and I just don't think it's right. I think we need to do what we can do reasonably to try and make sure that we have an activities director when we have our first meeting of our consolidated board in July.
So can I ask for, off of what Director Schulberg had said, to Bill, or sorry, Jeff, if you could fill me in on this. So is it the understanding or thought that Josh Lampa will be the activities director for your Rockbridge, covering both of all of our campuses at this time until we're consolidated, with what he currently has in place right now with him and 2 assistants?
I didn't quite catch, is that a question for me?
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're changing structure of how, I don't understand how one activity director is to be able to handle activities on all of our campuses right now until we are actually fully combined.
Not to mention, and that's a good question, Kelly, but not to mention putting these programs together and standing up for our district.
So you're basically saying that we need to still at this time replace JoJo with something.
I'm not saying we need to replace her. I'm saying we need to be talking to her.
Correct.
I agree.
I mean,
Okay.
does she need to be at these games, as you said? Does she need to be at American Idol? Because I know she's got a young family, and that's probably playing a little bit of her hindrance on her family life by being at these meetings, or at the activities that night.
My understanding of the conversation or whatever that administration had with JoJo was, by all accounts, it was a very, very brief conversation. And she indicated that she would like to be able to have like site managers, or to not be required to be at the events from 4:30 or 4 o'clock until the last person leaves the building, which that's not how it is over in Virginia. And I just don't, I mean, I don't know where that came from. I don't, as far as the recommendation, I know it was not discussed at the joint powers. That's certainly something I think that we need to figure out as a consolidated board. And until all of our athletic and other programs are fully combined, I think it's important that we have 2 directors.
Matt, did I misunderstand you? Did you say that JoJo up?
Hasn't informed folks that she has accepted another job. However,
When does that start?
You know, I mean, is JoJo, because that hasn't come across to the board yet, I mean, is JoJo okay with that being, out there? I mean, I know.
I
I kind of feel uncomfortable with that conversation, just because it hasn't come across the board, and I don't know if she wants that information out or not, so I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about that. But
I think she's good with that.
okay, I do think though that, you know, you mentioned about going
Well, I can certainly tell you she has informed her coaches.
okay.
So I believe that becomes public at that point.
I think we should talk to her too, though.
Absolutely. We need to.
I'm
I don't know what, I'm frustrated. I don't know what we're waiting for.
But with JoJo, you know, and attending the sporting events as a requirement, I think just knowing JoJo and who she is, she's invested in this community and the school district, and she probably would choose to go to some of those events. The only thing that probably is a hindrance is being required to be there for the whole length of the game, or, you know, it's not just coming and showing up, it's being there the whole time. And it seems like in the past we've had employees that will do supervision stuff at games, at football games, at hockey games. You know, if we have that, is she really required to be at the full length of a game?
I agree, and I can tell you from my personal experience that, and I don't want this to sound bad because I am at work at those games, but the conditions that we ask people to work for are substandard, and they're a lot worse than anyone else around. And I know that because I've been asked by other districts and have worked for them. And it seems to be a different deal here. I just think we need to support our director better.
So how do we get her in to negotiate her contract?
Yeah, where did this
Well,
go?
no, I think number one would reach out to her and say,
Yeah.
what's it gonna, you know, what, just like we did with the other folks.
Okay.
So we're missing a big piece. Where is has there been a plan to replace her or not? Right now, Jeff?
She has not resigned, to my knowledge.
So she has not resigned. So when is her contract up?
On June 30th.
Okay. Has there been discussion with you and Noel on what the plan was for the athletic directors and how, I mean, where has the decision been on it being moved over to, has there been any decision on Josh taking all of it for all of the campuses?
It was recommended to the joint board that he would, when we came together.
And that was as with JoJo as a community ed director.
And
I have just
Yeah, a lot of those administrative things were recommended to the joint board, and there was no action taken, there was no discussion on them, and that's a completely moot point right now because there will be no joint board very soon.
and I think
that because I also brought up, you know, the fact that there was assistant principals on that list, and I didn't know if that was going to be necessary in all the buildings going forward. So, in my opinion, we need to schedule a meeting with JoJo sooner than later and have a discussion. And I also feel that we need to include Noel in some of these discussions going forward. I mean, because July 1st, he is going to be the superintendent, so this affects, you know, him as well. So I do think that we need to meet with JoJo. I think we do need to have a discussion with Noel and then have these discussions. I do think it's important to sit down, like Matt said, and, you know, see what what it would take to keep JoJo here, because I do think that she's an asset. She's invested, she's from this community, and like I said earlier, I think she attends the games because she wants to attend the games. Maybe not the full game, but.
And so I just want to add this in. I mean, the other piece is that recommendations are not on how we're going to restructure administration for the consolidated district. There still has to be a plan and time frame of when we're going to do that. And I agree, right now is not the time frame unless clearly we have all of those other areas that are addressed. So if someone is going to do a community ed piece, someone is going to take these different pieces, because as right now, I'm not okay with one athletic director managing all of our campuses and expecting that we're going to still have that level of involvement that we've been blessed to have had in the last 2 years. So I think that has to be clear too, is that even with the administration plan of how we're going to be transitioning, it's going to be phased in based on, I mean, there's certain things we just can't do right now. We can't go down to one elementary principal when we have 2 different elements. Like, there's just certain things that we can't do until we are combined completely. Some things we will, but.
Yes, and understanding that, the other contracts ended June 30th of last year. Timing is certainly of the essence, because we, as a board, as a district, become a pumpkin in 5 weeks here.
I have a question though. Is JoJo's contract to the June 30th of this year, 2020, right?
That is
June
correct.
30th of 20.
Okay, but we are negotiating back for the other ones. We are negotiating 2 years. Theirs is 1 year overdue. So JoJo's is right up to date, okay? And that's different than the other 3 we were talking about.
Right.
Yep.
We want to have we need to have a contract in place, I believe, by the end of June.
Right,
Forward.
but that's the difference right there. But I have
Just like we have a contract in place with Jeff's position moving forward for the next 2 years, and with Noel's position for the next 3 years moving forward.
right, but there's a distinction. But I have a copy of Josh's 2017 to 2019 contract in front of me, and his title is Activities/Community Ed Director. So you're right, things are going to be shifted in duties and job titles and in a month and a week, or no, a month. So yeah, we do need to have that conversation, and we need to know her intentions. There's no formal resignation, like Jeff said, and so things will have to change quickly.
Just need to sit down with her and have a discussion and involve Noelle in that discussion as well, and then have these talks. But I think until we do that,
I agree. We have to inform Noel, but this is a decision for this board to make.
Correct.
Just like Virginia's, and I don't want to sound parochial, and I think I'm the least parochial person in the world, is how I think about things, but we need to do what's right for us. They've done what's right for them.
Exactly.
Hopefully it's right for everyone.
absolutely, but I think input is, I do think input is valuable.
Absolutely.
So I guess we do need new job descriptions for new jobs and different rates of pay. And July 1st, we're gonna have a 13-member board. So
It got tired.
We have 1 minute remaining before the regular meeting.
So Jeff, how do we get the meeting scheduled with JoJo
Oh, man.
in time?
What happened there? I'm having technical problems.
I would just ask that our negotiation team and connect on coordinating that meeting with JoJo and reaching out, if you guys would be okay with that. I feel like it would probably be a good place for it to lie to get it started.
Have administration.
With some urgency to get it wrapped up.
Yeah.
We'll have Jeff, we'll have Jeff reach out to JoJo for a negotiations meeting, and the 3 of us, 4 of us with Jeff can sit down and have a discussion with her. Happy?
Schedule the meeting yet?
What's that,
go ahead.
John?
Go ahead.
Schedule the yesterday.
Yeah.
Important.
And what I remember on JoJo's job description, there are a lot of duties there that she has. I'm not saying anything against her, but we're not assigned to her. The job description is wide, way wider than.
Looks like Tom's trying to get in the door.
That whole thing has.
Okay, you good?
I think we're
We're
good.
good.
Uh,
Jeff, give us the, we should leave this and go into our regular